Dynamic, articulate, perceptive, courageous, outspoken.
Welcome back to the dojo. We got another reaction for you. This time it's, a little bit of news. But I want to preface the video by saying that this video by Tone Talks, I don't know what this video is really going to be about. President Trump's big beautiful bill is a big disaster. The Diddy trial is nonsense. This is the news. But Tone Talks is a really good channel. I watch his channel from time to time, and I always learn something every time I watch his videos. He's an attorney, so he's a relatively intelligent person. But what's most interesting about this man's channel, he don't pull no punches. If you are very sensitive or you get your feelings hurt easy, this is not the channel you want to watch. But if you want them cold hard facts, I recommend tuning into Tone Talks, because he always got something for you. He even got a nice intro.
Welcome to Tone Talks. How's everybody doing today? This is Attorney Antonio Moore coming to you from Tone Talks. I wanted to have a very serious discussion today about what's going on in the Senate, in the House, what's going on with this bill, the big beautiful bill, which I feel is the name that not fits it, because it should be called a big ugly bill, but makes it clear how simplistic the mind of Trump is and how problematic it is in terms of what this bill will do to devastate working class families, poor families.
Okay, so if you working class or you poor, you might want to listen up, because he about to put you on game, man. He about to let you know probably just about everything that's in this bill, man. That's what this man does. That is his service to the society. He really wants you to know what's going on. I'm already going to get this thing a like, because I know he coming with the straight heat. I know he coming with it. Why am I not subscribed? Well, I just subscribed and liked the video. If you like what's going on in this video, please go over to his channel. Give him a like. Give him a subscription. He's at 87.2k subscribers. Let's get this man to 100k, man. Let's get, I know I ain't got the following for it yet, but let's get this man to 100k, because he always coming with the fire and the straight heat.
And how little everyone is talking about it in context of that tragedy, because they don't understand what's serious and what's not serious. We've lived in a society where celebrity has dominated our psyche, and in no place is that clearer than what we've seen in the last 24 hours. In a day, in a moment where everything about your life could be affected by policy, you still talking about Diddy. The nonsense of his trial, the nonsense of his existence, in my view. You have a system, a society, a president that is in place to devastate your family, and you care about whether this man has been convicted or not.
I don't care nothing about the Diddy trial. I thought the whole thing was ridiculous. It was just a show on a stage. It's just theater. All the crazy stuff they talking about, freak offs and baby oil, and all that stuff is just a meme now. It's literally, he's just a meme. I don't care nothing about the Diddy trial. Why? Because it don't got nothing to do with me, and I don't care nothing about celebrity gossip. But I will react to the BS. I most certainly will do that. Come on, Tone Talks, take it away.
It's not the day to talk about celebrity. And this show is here to make it clear for you. Let's talk about it. We have this one big, beautiful bill, and then we have Sean Diddy Combs found not guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking.
Found not guilty? Not guilty? Oh my God. See, you can do stuff like that when you got money, but he gonna get into it. He gonna break it down, because I haven't been watching it. Like I said, I don't care. But go ahead, bro. I'm sorry for keep interrupting you.
But convicted on lesser charges. You have a lot of people that are not lawyers talking about this, in my view, and we've seen a lot of different critical analysis. We won't know until it all comes out. The prosecutors overcharged him, understanding that they didn't have racketeering. Racketeering, RICO charges, you got to have fire possibly, and they really couldn't tie him to the Kid Cudi firebombing. You have to have a criminal enterprise. He didn't really have a criminal enterprise. Also what came out is how low he lived in the societal structure. Okay. He was always like one off. I think he was in Kid Cudi's house. He was all emotionally tied up like a Boyz II Men song in these women. You have made billionaires out of simple men. You've made success out of tragedy and failure in these men that are lowly educated. Diddy dropped out of Howard, and Jay-Z is a whole high school dropout. Nas talking about selling gambling, and he an 8th grade dropout.
Wow. I didn't know that about these men. Maybe that's why they went the way that they did, because they ain't see no other way out. They had to make it. They had to make it, you know what I mean? But selling your soul, that's a whole nother animal, bro. Giving up who you are to be a product, for lack of a better term. Giving up your humanity or who you are to be an image, to be a product, to be just basically a performer, an actor. You become a part of the system, and you got to do what they tell you to do, or they not going to pay you. It's just like having a job, but on a much grander scale.
Part of what we're seeing today is the inability to understand what it is to be a fully functional, mature adult in America. And America, through the big, beautiful bill, is set to teach you all a lesson. While you sitting up talking about how it's going to affect people with food stamps, you don't understand that you won off of food stamps, meaning your neighbor, your sister, your whole store that you go to relied on food stamps. You don't know that your window could be broken in, or that your kid that goes and plays at the park could be affected, because you are unserious in how you deal with the world. One of the things that's happening is the dichotomy of that unseriousness is showing up all in a 24-hour period. You got people standing outside of this trial that got kids that are about to be cut off of Peach Care, which is Medicaid, in Georgia, possibly. You got people that are out here stuck on culture from 25 and 30 years ago because they cannot deal with the world as it is, let alone understand how important it is to deal with the world as it is becoming. People should be at the White House. People should be possibly in the streets. People should be having these discussions at the home level, in the communities, at a much larger scale than they are, but they can't because they're talking about Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial. You got people trying to garner a win out of a man who just became a felon. He is a felon now. Whether you understand it or not, in federal charges, you get federal time. With federal time, you do 85% of that time. I think he's facing 5 years on 2 counts. This is an older man, let me say that, far past middle age. Even if they were to run them concurrent and gave him 5 years and gave him time served, he's looking at several years in prison. While he is finished, your family needs you today to be a real person. And that is the point of this video, to get into the discussion around the big, beautiful bill. While you don't understand that judge denies Sean Combs' request to leave jail on bail. And the reason that he did it in part was because of the violence of Sean Combs. You have celebrated a man that one thing that came out in this trial is he's an absolutely awful person. So I
can most certainly agree he's an absolutely awful person. I still believe it was because of him that Biggie's not here, and in turn Tupac. We saw what he did to Cassie. That was vicious. That was savage. And we saw how he acted to his artists on making the band. Man, he did so many people dirty. This man deserved everything he got coming to him, man. Everything.
Celebrating an awful person on a day where you're supposed to be protecting your family, whether you are a husband or a wife, because you have built yourself out of Play-Doh and kid games, out of cotton candy and old ass banana peels. You think it's important what happened 30 years ago when you don't understand this next 3 years may be so tragic for you that you might not be able to deal with them. What do you mean?
Get ready for it.
If you're not keeping up with this big, beautiful bill and concerned about the Diddy trial or making TikTok clips, you're not a mature adult. The bill is on a razor's edge, and it changes everything, particularly for American descendants of slavery, Black Americans that live inside of America without large wealth transfers. What this bill is effectively doing, in my view, is making clear everything that I've told you has been coming for a decade. And it will bring it to your doorstep over the course of 12 months or less. 24 to 12 months, probably less than 12.
Well, Antonio Moore, I'm ready to know about this big, beautiful, ugly bill. I'm ready to know about this big disaster, man. I know you want to, get it going in the beginning, preface everything and let everybody know what's in the video, but I am anticipating. I want to know what's in this bill, and I want you to tell me. I'm not trying to look up online. I want you to tell me what's going on, big brother.
What do you mean? What America is saying is your grandparents that made the money during the boomer era have to pay the bill today. Student loans may jump to $1,000, $1,500 payments. Nobody cares whether you have it or not. Peach Care, which is Medicaid that covers all kids, might disappear in some parts or different forms of it all throughout the states. We'll talk about it in a second.
Okay.
Food stamps that allow for fragile neighborhoods to stay together because people are not starving. Have you ever been around a starving person in your lifetime? No. Well, you might find out under this bill.
Damn, so it's possible we might be going into the Great Depression for real, where people can't afford to eat. Oh man, bad news, but we still need to learn about it. Come on, big brother, bring it home.
You have a handful of GOP holdouts, and I don't celebrate them for being holdouts, that now looks like they've kind of switched and he's close enough to getting this bill passed, and you are not following this bill with the seriousness, with the attention that you following Diddy's verdict. Can we talk today? The effort it takes to stand outside with this goofy sign as a grown 30 to 40-year-old man is absolutely insane. Now, in addition, we don't have clear evidence whether he paying people. You remember he wanted to do, meaning Diddy, he wanted to do a whole social media campaign. Is where this bill is coming from. And part of what I want to do is talk about what happened last night. House GOP holdouts fall in line, agree to bring Trump's agenda to the floor. So we move from the holdouts to the agenda coming to the floor for the vote. And if it gets past the vote, we almost there to getting that signature from Trump. And then you will know that all the stuff that I'm saying is a possibility become very real. People really aren't grasping. Being ADOS, American descendant of slavery, you are likely one relationship removed from these working class programs. A neighbor, a cousin, or even a sister silent about how Thanksgiving is from SNAP, food stamps. If you go to somebody's house and you eat some good food, some Thanksgiving turkey, some yams, you don't know how they paid for that yam. In fact, you'll have somebody on a program that isn't called Medicaid and not know you're on Medicaid. It's just called Peach Care because you're in Georgia. All this fatalism, everybody saying it's time, I want to see it. I don't want to see it. All this fatalism about it's time and I'm ready will be met with the realities many of us aren't ready to confront. Are you ready to fight somebody that doesn't have food to eat over your purse?
I'm definitely not. But if that's what's coming, I'm definitely going to keep my ass in the house. I ain't fighting nobody over what's mine. Shit, fuck that.
I don't want to see you go through that fight. What I am saying today, you need to be aware why that might happen so you're not frustrated about being black. What you mean about being black? This right here. So this data was released back in 2012, but they won't give us the new data. I've been checking the Bureau of Labor. This comes from the Bureau of Labor so that we can see the roadmap of who black people are in America. That comes from a president. So Trump isn't giving us data. He's giving us cuts. But what we can discern, because I don't think it changed all that much in this last decade, might have actually become worse as boomers retired and weren't replaced with anything but gig works. So you had a retiring boomer group that had been given, GIVEN, access to very, very good jobs, replaced with gig working working class, working age people in the Black American society. So then a lot of these numbers are probably worse. They just won't tell us. The average Black household contains 2.5 people. So the numbers I give you actually count for 2.5 people, not one person, not 2 people, 2.5 people. In addition, Black households averaged 1.5 owned vehicles. What are the numbers? What are you talking about? I'm talking about this chart right here. So you guys are here in America, and for you to understand why the Big Beautiful Bill is important, you have to understand who ADOS Black people are. Just because you Black don't mean you know who Black people are. And many, I would say damn near all of y'all that ain't really been watching this show don't know who Black people are. I'm talking about in terms of how the economics say who you are. You ain't gonna get no inheritance, because nearly nothing, none of y'all gonna get nothing. Inheritance is a key moment in life, including in life gifts from the boomers, because the society gave that age bracket, unlike anything we've ever seen in the history of this nation, wealth, and then cut it off for people that came after that.
I can feel that, because it was a lot easier in my parents' days to get a job and support a family. Nowadays, it's like you got to be earning 6 figures to live a comfortable life, man. You literally got to be earning 6 figures to live a comfortable life. Inflation didn't help. COVID didn't help. The cost of living is definitely not helping. The housing market crash didn't help. None of this stuff is helping. And it's like we just keep going down the drain. Stock market crash. Man, things about to get worse before they get better, if they ever can possibly even get better, man. And all this stuff is by design. There's somebody sitting at the top somewhere. It's like, yeah, all is going according to plan. Yes. That's how it's going down. There's somebody up at the top, the powers that be, that's orchestrating all of this nonsense that we got to deal with. From plastic bags, like they trying to reduce pollution or whatever. But it was a video I watched by Professor MBS. Professor MBS. He has a relatively small channel, but he has said something that stuck out. He said plastic bags cost 10 cents or whatever, but the people who are manufacturing all these goods that we buying from the grocery store, they don't got to change nothing, but we got to change what we doing. They still printing stuff in plastic bottles, plastic containers and stuff. You go get a loaf of bread, it's in plastic. You know, he made that point to me. I'm like, yo, that's so real. It's us that's feeling everything. It ain't them, it's us going through the nonsense.
So let's look at income, though. Well, when you look at the income chart and distribution for Black households, 2.5 people, what you find is that the big blue lines really cut off at 37.4, and then you can add it at 62.5. Almost all of the households are below $62,000. What do I mean? Let me show it to you in numbers. 62,499. So less than 12.5, 60 to 62,499. If you look at the numbers, 58, 88. Let me say it again. The 2 and the 3, the 1 and the 7. What are we at? 58. 58% of Black households, but at 2.5 people, below $38,000.
Okay, I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I don't really understand this graph because I haven't read it. Chart 1, income distribution of all Black households 2010 to 2012 combined. Total household income less than $12,500. Wow. 12,500. Okay. It's starting to make a little bit more sense. This is the income distribution. How much money people got in their households. Okay. All right, I see. We ain't got no money.
But if you add another 20, you at 78. 78% of the Black folks, roughly, you can do the real numbers, households, 2.5 people, below $62,000. Okay. Well, when we go up to 87, we capture another whole 11%. We get all the way to 89% of the Black households below 87, 2.5 people working, 87.4. Or 2.5 people, let me say, because it might be a child in there.
It ain't no money out here, man. At least not in our pockets. that money is elsewhere. We probably know where some of it's at, but bro, we not seeing no money out here, bro. Based on these numbers, we ain't seeing no money, man. And it hurt. It really hurt. Like, when you really look at this fact, you think you not involved. Yeah, you involved. It's a lot of people. It's just looking at these numbers, it's a lot of us who don't have nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we probably never will have anything. All we got is our lives, our words, and our hopes and dreams. That's all we got out here, man. I need a second, man. Had to get me a little sip of water, man. I always want to stay hydrated. But yeah, took me a little break. I'm ready to get back into it. I feel like I've been talking way too much. I need to listen more because I know he got a lot to say. So let's keep going.
Might be 1.5 workers, how they count it. But it's 2.5 people living on 87.4. 89% of black folks. Let me say it again. 2.5 folks living on $87,000, bringing in $87,000 in the household. May even be 2 workers, maybe 1.5 workers, depending on how they count it. And they live. How do you think they live? They live on programs and aid that they don't know. If you're not getting food stamps, you might be getting an after-school program, and you don't know that without that program, you ain't gonna be able to work. Let's not talk about transit. Let's go back to the Clinton Welfare Act and the work requirements in the Clinton Welfare Act. And what we find in that Clinton Welfare Act is that when they cut welfare, they use work requirements, but work requirements only were able to be used as a weapon because they had cut transit where black folks couldn't get to the jobs that were required to have the full welfare.
Damn.
Come on.
So just setting us up for failure the whole way down. I peeped that much. I got that much from it, just setting us up the whole way down.
Then you got black folks talking about how black people need to earn more money. Look at these numbers. All these probably were boomers who rose through the initiatives that came out of civil rights, and they all retired. It's very few. It's less than this now. They won't tell us, but I know it's less. When you look at black folks that are above, and I cut it off a little bit, but you can see the 8.08, 0.06, 0.05, 0.03, 0% in this. When you add all these numbers up, that might be 0.5% of black folks that are above a couple $100,000 in income, which is no big money in America. So this is a group where 89% of the families collectively make less than $89,000.
We broke.
Well, that helps us now to understand how everybody in the group needs programs. Whether you understand it or not, whether you understand that you might not get SNAP, but you get an after-school program, you need programs. Whether you understand it or not, your sister is on a program. Y'all just don't have a serious relationship to talk about how she feed herself. All y'all talk about is whether the sun is out, how Auntie Boom Boom is doing. But let's talk about this bill, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about this bill and get serious about this bill. What's in the Big Beautiful Bill thread? I did a thread on this Big Beautiful Bill a few days. I did a thread on this Big Beautiful Bill a few days ago, and I did it based on this article. And I want to start off by talking about one of the provisions that's hidden in the bill, which is the estate tax. Well, if you don't have no income, you need transfers. And if you don't have no income, you need people who, especially if you ADOS, because your families don't have no wealth, so you're not going to get no transfers. You need all the money to be broken up at death and redistributed like it was done for your grandparents. But your grandparents didn't do the politics for that. What they did instead was a set of politics that allowed for the estate tax to basically become so high that nobody has to sell anything off, bar few. I think if Trump's bill passes, it'll be like 1% of the overall American people that died. 1% will have to sell anything. Everybody else gets it free of tax. So that's how you're supposed to live on the transfer at death or in life. In life gifts include you getting to move home and save money, include you getting daycare by your parents. Those are the lower end gifts. And you getting $40,000 or $75,000 or $175,000 to put down on the house. These are requirements, and the requirements will become clearer when the big beautiful bill passes. And what you are not ready for is that you don't have the means to meet the requirements. And then you fought for policy as if you were one day going to be worth $5 million, when in actuality, the truth is you probably are below $80,000 in income with 2.5 people in the household.
Yep, that's true. We definitely below that. So it looked like more than half of America is below the poverty line. This is just black people he's talking about. This is just black people he's talking about. But we see it. We feel it. Go ahead, Tone.
And probably is an understatement. Nearly all of y'all. We've seen the numbers. We can go back so we can see it. All these people in the blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how much blue is after 89? None. Can I talk today? Can I get to my bag?
Yes, please.
Also, estate tax will now raise the floor to $30 million for a couple. Now, I'm not going to get deep into it. What I will say is, look at the historical rates for estate tax. It was $600,000 a person in 97. Going back further in 84, it was $325,000 a person. So since 84, we have moved from $325,000 a person. Everything after that has to be sold off, broken up, paid the taxes on, to now being at $15 million a person or $30 million for a couple, with it being flexible if one person doesn't use their full $15 million. There's nothing good about that comes for you. What it does is diminishes the impact of labor that is taxed at 40%. It becomes the new tool, and I'll say new because this is not the world your grandparents lived in. It becomes the tool with which you live a good life in America. You grease the tool with minor amounts of labor, and you live on a chunk of wealth that you are owed by your grandparents and your parents because they lived during a great time to make money, to live here and live the dream that they told you to accomplish.
He just said that our grandparents and our parents are supposed to give us money. Man, like, maybe if they had money to give me, they would, but, bro, don't nobody got no money. Like, he said that they came up in a time where there was a lot of money and you could earn money, but, man, we ain't see none of that. I just got the benefits of living in a nice house. You know what I mean? I never really had nothing, to be honest with you. In my adult life, I haven't acquired hardly anything. I don't have a house. I don't have any kids because I don't have a house. I never wanted to put myself in a position where my children would struggle because I'm struggling. I was like, I need to be financially stable before I have kids, and I don't think I'll ever be able to have kids because the way it's looking, I ain't gonna never be financially stable, unfortunately. And there's probably a lot of y'all out there right there watching this video that probably feel the same way. It's extremely hard these days.
Ain't no. We'll talk about the Pell Grants and the student loans. So you paying $1,500 a month, $1,200 a month on student loans, and don't know that your granddaddy's bill is supposed to be that bill because it's in your name. Okay. Let me say it one more time. When you raise the estate tax from $325, let me say it better. From 85 to 2005, estate tax for an individual went from $325 to about $1.2 million. I don't have the full chart here, but you can kind of see it here. $1.5 million. Went up $1 million about. But from 2005, and if the bill passes, to 2025, the estate tax starting point went to $15 million or $30 million for a couple. And remember, 80% of white folks are married. So you have this world where none of them pay tax and they give it to their kids. The problem isn't the $30 million family, though.
Okay, before he continue, I want to know exactly what the estate tax is. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know. Let me ask Google. What is an estate tax? Let me see. What is the estate tax?
According to Wikipedia, international tax law distinguishes between an estate tax and an inheritance tax. An inheritance tax is a tax paid by a person who inherits money or property of a person who has died, whereas an estate tax is a levy on the estate of a person who has died.
Okay, so you get a house when somebody passed away, it get passed on to you. Estate tax. Okay. Well, I don't think I'll be getting none of that. I'm not getting no inheritance or no estate. I just gotta figure it out. Just like the rest of y'all. I just gotta try to figure it out.
It's the $1 million family and the $2 million families, because that becomes the terms of being here. You think you struggling because you don't work hard. You really struggling because your parents don't got no money. I'm talking about you, 45-year-old person. Because you're supposed to get money in exchange for accomplishing giving grandchildren and coming of age. That's the way they set up the world.
So we supposed to get an inheritance and an estate. Just by being born, we're supposed to get that. Dang, man. They really rigged this game so nobody could win. They really rigged this American dream game so nobody could win. You can only win if you got money. And everybody's getting priced out of every damn thing, even groceries.
It's said through the estate tax being so high. Okay, we here now. 10 sneaky sleeper provisions in Trump's big beautiful bill. Can we talk? The headlines in the budget reconciliation bill that passed the House by one vote early Thursday morning are well known. Massive tax cuts for the rich, financed by crippling program cuts in Medicaid and food stamps, raising the federal debt by $3.3 trillion over a decade. Now, there's another version came out of the Senate, but generally speaking, this is the bill. Crippling the courts. The bill hiding behind the premise that is an appropriations measure prohibits any funds from being used to carry out court orders holding executive branch officials in contempt. This is designed to enable Trump and officials to continue to define court orders. Bonus for tax prep industry. The Biden administration sponsored a direct file measure to allow taxpayers to save money by using a free IRS tool to file their tax returns rather than paying commercial tax preparers. The program is now available to taxpayers in 25 states. So think about what I'm saying. All those high loan people are loaning money to these poor people that are guaranteed to get the money because of a child tax credit or whatever, and they need it now because they don't have any access to credit and no family that has any wealth. And then they charge them exorbitant rates. We're going to get right back to that because they won't have a free service anymore. Can we get to it? Terminating the tax status of nonprofits. The reconciliation tax gives the administration the power to define nonprofits as terrorist supporting organizations. Understand the impact that would have had on the American descendants of slavery movement and the ADOS Foundation. Come on. If we had not got the Harvard paper retracted, we had a paper, I had a paper, Yvette Carnell had a paper in our personal names that was in the vein of calling us disinformation and tied to Russians. They had to retract it because we fought. But what happens is you can have that whole nonprofit taken from you because of disinformation by Harvard, not by us. And ain't nobody asking no questions. And because you ate us, you don't have the wealth to fight. But we fought tooth and nail with no wealth because the people that are supposed to support us didn't. There was no organizations there. I don't think ADOS people understand who ADOS people are in America because you ain't done nothing. Go do something. Go ask somebody for some real cash. And then you're going to find out that ain't nobody got no cash. Come on. Blocking state regulation of AI. The bill prohibits any state or subdivision from passing any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence models, artificial intelligence systems, or automated decision systems during the 10-year period beginning on the date of enactment of this act. gutting the estate tax. As if the current exemptions were not enough, the bill raises the no tax floor to a staggering $15 million for single person and $30 million for couples in 2026. So a couple could leave $29.9 million to their heirs tax-free. As recent as 2.1% of estate tax is paid some tax. This will change to 0.08. Nobody's gonna pay no estate tax. What this bill is effectively doing in conjunction with shutting off the poor, you, the working class, the middle class person that is talking that conservative talk, that it's time for people to not have food stamps, is it's reorienting the society in a way where you're supposed to get money from your parents to be here and to have kids that go to college. It's okay, you find out. Expanding school vouchers. The bill gives $20 billion in the form of tax credits to donors who give money to voucher schools. So they're trying to basically privatize schools and allow people that aren't paying correct property tax, that aren't paying estate tax, to then use money to create their own schools and call it a government school. And they trying to get rid, and then you gonna get cut off because all your local schools that's supposed to be paid for ain't gonna have no money. It also creates a tax shelter from paying capital gains taxes to donors who give appreciated stock to voucher schools. So they're gonna be able to give stock to schools. Are you able to give stock to your local school?
Hell no. I ain't got no money, man. And you know I don't. You looked at them numbers, you know we ain't got no money, man. He just wanted to ask a rhetorical question so you can realize the messed up situation that you in. I feel you, Tone. I feel you, Tone.
Stealth cuts in the Affordable Care Act. The bill allows tax credits that subsidize ACA premiums to expire at the end of 2025. All of y'all on Affordable Care that aren't on Medicaid. We did the numbers before. I think it was like 60% or something of working class people that didn't have private care were on black folks was on Medicaid at some point. Can we talk today? What's in the big, beautiful thread? Go check this thread out. It's on my Twitter. Follow the thread, share the thread, get involved, add to the thread. You need to be having these discussions instead of talking about Diddy. That is irrelevant. It is irrelevant. Much of the things you probably talked about today on TikTok or anything else are irrelevant in the moment of a big, beautiful bill. You need to be reading through articles around the bill, and if you want to, go get the text of the bill and read it. That is the requirement. That is your charge having a family. You decided to bring kids into this moment. Pay for them.
Woo! I'm glad I ain't do that because I'm not involved in that, but I still got to get my ish together, man. This world that we living in, man, the cost of living is skyrocketing day by day. It's going to be to a point where nobody's going to be able to do anything. We all going to need universal basic income, and I know that's not the way because that universal basic income is going to come with stipulations and restrictions. You can't do this. You can't go here. You can't make this amount of money. You can't, like, they pricing us out of life. They're pricing us out of life. And apparently this bill is going to make it even harder to have a life.
You don't have no money. What Medicaid cuts and work requirements. Republicans targeted the Medicaid program, which 72 million people rely on for health coverage, by instituting work requirements of 80 hours per month for able-bodied adults under age 65. You had a young woman, 30 years old or so, come into my thread and try to say to me, well, that's good. Black woman, 30 years old, bunch of Angel Reese when you go to her page. I recommend anybody that talks to you on Twitter, go look at their page and see if they are an unserious person. This was an unserious person.
I want to see what she said. Just work, start a business, put 20 hours a week in and document it. I don't know why you would think people should just be doing nothing, especially those with no children and no disability. This is idiocy as a reply. You're out of your depth. Evidence shows Medicaid work and reporting requirements are confusing to enrollers and complex and costly for states to implement. I mean, I don't get the whole sentiment, but I'm trying to understand. She said just work, start a business. I mean, easier said than done. Easier said than done. You got to get a job first before you can work. And if you want to start a business, you got to have capital to get started. Is that circular reasoning or is that just stupidity? I don't know. I don't know what it is because I'm not deep into what's going on in the world as far as finances, but apparently Tone is, and let's just let him break it down. I want to know why this woman is stupid.
And I had to say, do you not know the history of literacy tests? Literacy tests were not to see how smart black folks were. It was to keep them from voting. These work requirements are given nothing by the federal government to the state to train them on how to administer them. They're giving nothing to the states in terms of creating jobs. But they're saying there's a new work requirement. While you look at Philadelphia, and Philadelphia cut transit by 40% just recently. So you got no way to get to the job. Then in addition, how many of y'all know about the ghost jobs? People can't get no job. But we're going to make work requirements on the Medicaid.
Like I said, man, people not working, people looking for work and can't find nothing, man. If you do find anything, it's probably not going to be all that good because you got to have a car to get to a job, especially one that's going to probably pay you something worthwhile. You got to have a car, and if you don't already have a car, you got to start lower on the totem pole. You got to get something close by, like a McDonald's or a grocery store or something. And then you got to work your way up, and who knows if you got a support system while you doing all of that. This whole life thing, it's momentum. You got to have momentum, and momentum in this aspect is money. You got to have some money to be able to do anything. Money is promissory notes, giving you privilege to do things. If your money long, you can go a long way, but if you ain't really got no money, you can't go nowhere. You can't do nothing. You just got to hope that some money come in or you can get to some money. It's all about money, man. Money, 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 money. Money, money, money. Money.
Okay, that's how we doing it. Republicans targeted the Medicaid program, which 72 million people rely on for health coverage by instituting work requirements. It's on track to cut 20% of spending on food stamps. Many of you that are one-off don't realize that your coupon loot using self is not a target for your store. When you get rid of this much of what the store relies on in your area to survive, your Kroger's, your Ralph's, you might not have a local store after they cut this.
Damn, Kroger is closing 60 stores. I'm not in the deep south, so I don't really see Kroger's like that. But man, like, it's a lot of stuff that's been closing down recently. It's a lot. And why? I don't really know why, but I know it's going to affect everybody in that neighborhood. They're going to have to drive even further to get food. They're going to have to drive to they probably going to have to drive halfway out of the state to get some groceries. By the time you get home, your ice cream's melted. Because now you got to drive 20 more miles to the grocery store because they closed the one that was close to you. Oh, it's definitely going to have all this is going to have an effect. We're not really going to see the aftermath until it's too late.
So you fighting for something that's going to lead to a devastation in your life. It's on track to cut 20% of spending on food stamps or SNAP, with more than 2 million losing benefits. How many people in?
So you're going to lose your food stamps. You're going to lose your benefits. You're going to lose your food stamps because of this big, beautiful bill. As he talks, I'm beginning to understand more and more. Let me take it back a few seconds because I cut him off right there. But go ahead, Tone. Tell us what's really going on.
Cut 20% of spending on food stamps or SNAP, with more than 2 million losing benefits. How many people in the chat are ready to have their sister lose the ability to eat and can give her the money instead? Well, we already know based on the data that I showed earlier that none of y'all make no money. So are you ready for somebody to ask you for $100 to eat? Now, you might be somebody in the top few percentiles of black folks that was able to save $30,000. Are you ready to have $35,000 or $40,000 that you absolutely need because you don't have no retirement? And somebody is about to go without eating, and you got to tell them you don't have it. You don't have the structures in place in Black America like white America for people to know you have it. And then you say to them, I don't want to give it to you. The structure is all designed on saying, I don't have it. So you're going to have to lie. Are you ready to lie to God? Because at some point, God's going to ask you, you had it in the bank account. Why you didn't just tell them you didn't want to give it to them? Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't think they would understand. I don't have time for you to tell me you didn't think they understood. Why didn't you tell them the truth? Well, in Black America, all we do is just say we don't have it. So I just use the we don't have it. Fundamentally, there will be a conflict with how Black folks have designed their communication socially and how this bill makes you have to be an honest person. I've been honest my whole time, so I ain't got no issue with it. Many of y'all, that's not the case. It's on track to cut 20% of spending on food stamps or SNAP, with more than 2 million losing benefits per an estimate from the Congressional Budget Office. Y'all ready for this? 20%. The One Big Beautiful Bill SNAP cuts would strain food banks amid rising food insecurity. Food banks do not have the capacity to alleviate the spike in hunger that would be created by cuts to SNAP.
So it's all downhill from here. Like, don't just watch this video and say, oh man, that's bad. No, you're going to be affected. This includes you. This involves you. If you in that 89%, he's talking about you. If you rely on food stamps, SNAP, and all that, probably going to see that stuff get cut, bro. This ain't good. This ain't good at all.
One Big and Beautiful Bill, SNAP cuts would strain food banks amid rising food insecurity. The Senate has released its version of the One Big Beautiful Bill, which would enact the largest cut to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program in the program's history. Why should we have to live through that when the boomers didn't? Why should we have to live with their president? President Trump is the boomer president. He's either the youngest silent gen or the oldest boomer. He is a product of their politics, of all the Reagan following, of all the neoliberalism with Obama. He is a product of their politics. And now we here eating the consequence of their politics.
I just want you to look at this screenshot right here. White household wealth is 20 times that of blacks and Hispanics. All that stuff when they say the system and the man, it's real, bro. It's actually real. When you look at the numbers, you can actually see how real it is, because why? Numbers don't lie. People can cook the books all they want, but numbers do not lie, man. And when you look at these numbers, it's like, bro, what hope is there? What hope is there? Hope to get rich? Hope to get rich. And you can't hope that for all your people. You got to hope that for yourself, because if everybody was rich, nobody would be.
Politics. And now we here eating the consequence of all that eating that was done. And what has happened for Black America is you don't even have people around you that have the wealth from all the eating, because they ate so much that they just let the fruit spoil, and they was eating the spoiled fruit. Been retired 30 years, ain't got nothing saved. Come on.
Man, this is
the largest cut to the supplemental.
Take it back. This is real good. I'm learning a little bit about what's going on. Put me onto the big ugly bill and how it's going to affect us. It's going to ruin our benefits. It's going to make it more costly for us to get an estate. Like, bro, everything is going downhill. Medicare's getting cut. SNAP's getting cut. Like, bro, I really don't know what we're going to do. I need a minute to process this. I think I need to get some more water, man. Okay, it took me a quick little break. I'm ready to jump back into it. I'm ready to see how bad it really, really is, man. It's not looking good at all, y'all. It ain't looking good at all.
The largest cut to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program in the program's history, according to Center for American Progress estimates. Despite,
if you didn't catch that, he said this is the largest cut to SNAP that has ever been. This is the largest cut, so people really gonna feel it. Oh yeah.
The proposal cutting less than the House passed version, nearly 300 billion in cuts, is even more extreme than the House version in some key aspects. Moreover, the legislation comes at a time when food insecurity is rising across all 50 states. Food banks have come out with a clear message in response. They are not equipped to handle the hunger crisis that would result from the bill's cuts to SNAP. Earlier in 2025, the Trump administration froze or cut nearly $1 billion in federal funding that food banks rely on to serve their communities during a period when demand had already hit record levels in many parts of the country. SNAP is the most effective and efficient way to assist food insecure households. The largest ever cut to SNAP would represent a huge hit to basic assistance that would take food away from millions of people in need. To prevent drastic increase in hunger for struggling families, Congress must reject the proposed cuts.
So if this is true, that means crime is going to skyrocket because there's going to be a lot of people that ain't got nothing to eat. And they're going to be forced to commit crime to try to feed their stomach. Man, I can already see the chaos ensuing. Y'all better prepare yourselves, man, because it's going to be a wild ride.
Food pantries are already at capacity when SNAP is slashed. We see it in real time, longer lines, higher demand, and increased strain on volunteers. The Senate bill will shift the cost of SNAP or food stamps to some states. The program is currently fully funded by the federal government. Let me read that again. The Senate bill still shifts the cost of SNAP or food stamps to some states. The program is currently fully funded by the federal government. The federal government will continue to fully fund the benefits for states that have an error payment below 6%. So they gotta have a certain error payment for that probably they can't meet because they're gonna have so much demand. So they already know that they can't meet the error. So then they already using a tool to cut off the states, and then the states are gonna pass that down and cut you and your sister and your neighbor off of the food stamps. The federal government will continue to fully fund the benefits for states that have an error payment below 6% beginning in 2028. States with error payments above 6% will be on the hook for 5 to 15% of the cost. And a state like Mississippi, like Alabama, like Florida, they don't have that. They just gonna cut people off.
Figure it out type shit.
More benefits for the rich than the poor. More benefits for the rich than the poor. Wealthier taxpayers appear to set to receive more benefits from this bill than poorer ones, according to the budget lab at Yale University. Taxpayers in the lowest income quintile. And again, the lowest income quintile is, let's go back to it, because we not talking just generally. The lowest income quintile is black folks that are in the bottom 58% or 60% of the black households.
That's damn near everybody, man. Everybody gonna feel this. Everybody's gonna feel this. Everybody you know is really gonna be hurting. And everybody gonna pretend like they still good. But everybody gonna be feeling it, bro. When this bill pass, get ready for the purge. When this bill pass, get ready for the purge. Because that's what it's going to start looking like out here.
That's the lowest quintile. So it's like more than half, most of black folks are in that lowest quintile, so that we have a better understanding. We'll see a 2.5% decrease in their incomes, largely due to SNAP and Medicaid cuts, while the highest earners will see incomes grow by 2.5%. Republicans' holdouts fall in line. This happened while we were sleeping. I think it was somewhere around 12 a.m. So now we one step from this going to the Trump and being signed. Now, what about people with student loans? They're going to cut Pell Grants. So a lot of y'all that got like 15-year-olds, or for that matter, even 19-year-olds, it's time to pay for your mouth. So you're going to have to write checks. I know this happened to me. Like, a lot of y'all don't be writing no checks. It'd be all like, I'm going to get this grant and this scholarship and it's going to pay everything. No, you're going to have to write checks and not no $800. You're going to have to write checks for $20,000 and $30,000. And if you got multiple kids, and it's going to show up that you didn't do the 529 plans, and that your parents, your grandparents, you let them play with the kids, but they didn't save nothing for them. Look, there's an exchange here in America. When you give the boomers a grandchild, the way America set it up, not what I'm saying it should be, what it is. It's just none of you guys have access to it. The bill for that exchange is that they do 529 plans, that they give you in-life transfers so you can pay for those kids, because the income is not enough, not just in the amount. It's taxed too high. There's too little benefit. The dollar is losing too much value. And they were given a time when all the money's supposed to be amassed. Think of it in terms of summer and winter. You were born into winter. They were born into summer. And it's way worse than that. You live in a time where you don't live on income. You grease the wheel with income. The wheel is made with boomer transfers. But now it's going to show up. And so, like, you got student loans and the payments about to change. And then you got a kid that's going to be in college, and then the Pell Grant going to go away, and they're not going to offer them a loan instead. And they got to come home or you got to pay the check. I'm just telling you so you can get your mind around it, because there's going to be a lot of real things that come at you real fast all at once. And I don't want you to say you didn't know. You got a woman, Gabrielle Perry. I said this 2 weeks ago. The new Trump bill will ensure only rich kids even have a chance at going to grad school. It eliminates Grad Plus entirely. It caps coverage at $100,000 for grad students, $200,000 for medical and law students. It also caps parent loans at $65,000, and they are not eligible for two repayment programs.
Nobody's gonna get to go to school. If you broke, you will not be able to afford college unless you got a full ride scholarship. If you're broke, you will not be able to afford college unless you have a full ride scholarship. Whoo, it's a lot to take in, Tone.
No, what they're doing is saying that college for the top 30%, 20% of America that can write real checks. So we have a grouping of white Americans, 80 million households, and somewhere around 35% of them are worth north of $600,000, and the arc goes up fast. So you have probably 15 or 20% of white households that are worth more than $1 million net, not liquid, that can write checks for $30,000 and $40,000 because they are truly entrenched in being American. What you have in Black America is people who have lived next to the comforts of America, lived off of consumption items, meaning not buying them, but just we look similar because we both have a car and we both have shoes. But in actuality, you have done nothing and you have nothing to be actually American in America. And what has made it not clear is the fact that the government aid was enough to smear around. So you end up with a child like me. My parents had me at 16. And you didn't pay shit. I'm $1 million kid. You didn't put $1 million into your kid. But then when they got a student that they can't transition through life because you're not doing your fucking job. I'm telling you, all of y'all about to go through that at once. I don't want no tragic stories or no crying or no depression. Eat that. All repayment plans for student loans will be stripped down to just 2 plans. 2. So what they about to do is they about to make payments for student loans stupid high. And they don't care if it puts you in bankruptcy or foreclosure. So I hope you ready on top of all the stuff that I just talked about you have to do to pay $1,500.
Basically, get ready to throw away all your money. Get ready to throw away all your savings, all your so-called wealth or whatever you think you got. Get ready to flush it all down the toilet because that's what's coming for you. Watching this video, that's what he helped me understand, bro. Everything's going down. Everything's going down. All the support systems, college, everything's going down the drain. And I don't know what it's going to look like when it's all over, bro. I really don't even want to think about it, but this is the reality that we're going to face within the next 10 years.
Every month, not once a year. I need you to be ready for the cost of being America to come fully at you. And that is part of the reason that you need to know what's going on with the bill. You can do little to nothing to block it at this point. But you can do a lot to understand how this is going to impact your life. You're going to have to pay for the Medicaid or the Peach Care that gets cut You're going to have to deal with the food insecurity from your immediate family. You're going to have to realize that the after school program that allowed you to work or the transit availabilities that allowed you to get to your job are going to get cut. And they want half your salary, because who can pay, come on, $1,500 a month, even if they make $100,000? Because if you're making $100,000 after taxes and then medical coverage payments, you probably bringing home about like $1,900. So they want a whole half check, and you got to live on the eighth. But we don't know black households make more than $100,000, because when you get to about a 112, you only got about 3% of black households. I live in a world where we talk about numbers. Part of the Adolph Foundation's demand for disaggregation for American descendants of slavery was about data. You have been unserious. Come on, man. And for those people who have an unserious alternative answer, ain't no more alternatives if you ain't got no alternatives. If you're not an electrician or a elevator expert or whatever, you telling me your kid gonna be in trades is no answer. If you don't have a specific job lined up and you keeping the space open for your kid, I don't want to hear you talk to me about trades no more. This is a world where we're done with all of the fantasy of ideas of you saying what it's going to be. Your kid is 17 years old. What's the answer? Y'all been playing from 5 to 17. It's great that y'all go hold hands and run at the park and all that stuff. Your parents didn't do that with you. The emotional things that you didn't get, or you did that with your babies. Where's the economics? And what the big, beautiful bill is going to do is make it clear that you don't know what the fuck you doing when it comes to this parenting. America has a math. America has a wrench. It has a screwdriver. It has a world that's set up. The boomer class was able to make money. You get money from the boomer class and you live in America. You go to work every day, but that is not the real money. They don't even know how to track. They don't track no money when your grandma goes and pays for the school for your kid. They set it up that way. When I graduated from law school, I seen it firsthand. At the graduation, people was giving, and I'm not talking about just their parents, they auntie, they giving people big money because they did their part. Let me pay my bill. Okay. I'm tying it all together because behind the smoke and mirrors is a truth. And I want you to go read. I got a book for you, Democracy Unchained. In that book, Democracy Unchained, you have a whole history of how the Republicans got here, how they got to a point. Come on. Where they snatched all the gains back of the New Deal and the Civil Rights Movement by promising people the lifestyles of the rich and famous and playing to everybody. And that is why they showed you Diddy. And you are half fucking crazy to have been following him and to be holding up a shirt and talking about no RICO. We know it's not no RICO there. The man is a felon now. Stop celebrating felons. Felon dropout. For everyone that thinks trade jobs, see, everybody got a workaround. Or the workaround. All my kids ain't going to college, folks. Gen Z is ditching college for more secure trade jobs, but building inspectors, electricians, and plumbers actually have the worst unemployment. Somebody said people think it's like Uber, where you get licensed and you can basically do gig work. You take all the risk and have to pay for the higher carrying costs and no traditional job security. Also, I said it's often high risk physically, working on electrical poles or under buildings with little light or carrying heavy equipment. Gen Z is ditching college for more secure trade jobs, but building inspectors, electricians, and plumbers actually have the worst unemployment. Read this article with me. With AI coming to white collar work, Gen Z have been ditching college and corner office ambitions in favor of taking up traditional trades like welding, plumbing, and carpentry. But they're in for a rude awakening: high unemployment rates, unhappiness, and automation risk. I need you to understand there is something called quality of work. I'm an attorney. Today, most of my job will be doing hearings where I sit and I talk to a judge. In between the sitting, I'm just waiting for the judge. After the case, I go home and ain't no other work. When it's time to go on vacation, I just got back from the Dominican Republic 2 days ago. They pay me while I'm gone. I need you guys to understand these jobs are not the end goal. My job is the end goal. They are stepping stones so your children can achieve that. You are fighting for a reversion in quality of life, not an ascension. Trade jobs are having a moment, touted as a smarter, safer alternative to irrelevant, overpriced degrees and entry-level white-collar jobs. Traditional manual work is experiencing a resurgence among Gen Z. Around 78% of Americans say they've noticed a spike in young people turning to jobs like carpentry, electrical work, and welding, according to 2024 Harris poll. They're not wrong. Trade school enrollment really has surge post-pandemic, even outpacing university. And it makes sense. Six-figure salaries without student loans. The freedom to work for yourself and hands-on real-world skills that can't be outsourced to chatbot. But new research suggests that the reality isn't as stable or as future-proof as it's being pitched. According to the new Wallet Hub study, ranking the best and worst entry-level U.S. jobs in 2025, trade roles dominate the bottom of the list. Welders, automotive mechanics. Don't nobody want to sit up under no car with no oil on their hands all day, every day, and deal with complaints. Come on, man. Boilermakers and drafters all rank among the least promising career starters. Worse still, jobs like building inspectors, electricians, and plumbers are tied to the highest unemployment rate in the entire study at 7.2%. And if it's 7% generally, it's probably more like 25% for ADOS. Because the people in those jobs is so many people that have high school diplomas and so many trying to get in that job are handing the job to their children because they already have access to certain levels of it. Come on. More than 3 times that of entry-level office jobs like budget or analyst or financial analyst, which sits closer to 2%. According to the research, these roles scored poorly due to limited job ability and weak growth potential, as well as their potentially hazardous nature. We just talked about this. You ever seen somebody that fell off one of these poles?
No.
Or got electrocuted? Or caught something by being all in the feces as a plumber, digging their hand? Because you can get sick off of that. You can get sick and then you can't work for a long time. You get sick real fast digging in feces. You ever seen somebody who hand got messed up while they was trying to do some welding?
I used to do some welding and I burnt my pants a lot. The sparks would fly through and get into my legs. So I got quite a few like little burns on my leg, but they kind of healed up. But yeah, I used to get burned all the time. All the time.
Okay. How about it? What I'm saying to you today is that the one big beautiful bill should be the central item of your discussion for the next day, for the next week, for the next month, and for the next year. You should become acutely aware of not only what the bill says, but the consequences it will have on your life, on your family, and on your neighborhood. I need you to stop caring about Diddy and start caring about yourself. I need you to understand that the one big beautiful bill ain't nothing but an ugly lie. This is Tone Talks. Please go to tonetalks.net, subscribe, donate, and share. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wanted to hit this because I see a lot of people playing around when it's time to get serious.
Well, that was that. So, if you didn't know, if you didn't hear, the big beautiful bill is on its way. Trump is proposing this, and from the looks of it, it's all downhill from here, man. I hope y'all got some money saved up. I hope you got a plan out there to figure this thing out because, like I said before, it's going to start looking like the purge. Crime is going to skyrocket. People are going to be hungry. People are going to be in them streets trying to do anything they can to get food. Crime is going to skyrocket. Purse snatching. Flash mob. Robbing, stealing, and killing. Like, it's all going up, man. Stay out the way, man. I hope y'all good out there because it's about to get real bad. And I can't even do it no justice because I'm just getting introduced to it. Like he just put me on to something I didn't know what was going on, and now that I know, I'm gonna save every single dollar I got because it ain't about to get no better no time soon, man. So that being said, Professor Hawk signing out. Hawk Sensei bids you adieu. I hope you enjoyed this reaction, guys. Toodaloo.